Divine Source, Great Spirit, we call on you this day, asking you to show us the way. Show us and speak to us with the messages that are most helpful, that are truly given by you for the highest good of all. We ask you to be with us, to anchor this space sacred, and to be the invitation to those that you would help through this talk. We thank you for your love and your grace, and so it is.
Welcome to Talking Spirit. My name is Jutta, and I'm back with Elisabeth.
Welcome, everyone.
So this is episode 13. We're kind of coming to you sort of with empty minds today because, we've been just sitting in this experience of having recorded episode 13 twice now. With a certain idea in mind that felt like what we wanted to talk about or what the Spirit wanted us to talk about. And every time we've gone back to, edit and the audio and make a video and, make a little write-up for YouTube and stuff like that, something's just not really going the way it's usually going. And we're just, watching and trying not to judge the situation and, just keep an open mind. But we did both have the idea today just to come together for a recording. Just for a recording. Maybe just to tell you this is what's going on. But, always open to see if anything else is present. But yeah, we're just here. Plain. Raw. Yeah. With no plan.
Just kind of confused in a way, It seems to me that the mind can lock on to thinking like, oh, this is what I'm doing now. This is how it works. This is the way to go forward. And, Jutta and I, and probably most that are going to listen to this, we've been invited more and more just into this experience of what's here now. What's present right now? How's it feel now? And we've said many times that we, came together with this idea of doing these talks and that, if it wasn't going to be fun, we probably weren't going to do it. And so as we've been through these last 2 weeks or so of chewing over the energetics of these talks, a lot of the time it didn't feel fun at all. And it kind of felt yucky.
Yeah.
And for me, it feeling yucky was a great invitation. Like, what's in my mind that is bringing forth that feeling of yucky. And so, we've been looking at that and exploring that and did a re-record just to see what was fresh and new about the topics. And then here it was again today with we've been posting these on a Monday. So it was I guess we're not going to post anything. And, it's just about staying out of these conclusions of how, oh, well, we signed up to do it this way, or we've been doing it this way, so this is how it should go down. It's just, my mind doesn't really work that well that way anymore. Mm-hmm. It's what is genuinely here now? And what was genuinely here this morning was those two talks are a total scrap. And we're just here to do our best in this moment. Forget about, there's this call in my mind as we're now in this of, forget about the past, Elisabeth. Forget about anything that's been before now. And that's a constant invitation from the Spirit. And it's a bit of a head bender for me, It's just can I really let everything that I think has ever been go? And can I be completely without any future plans? Can I just be right here, right now? Yeah. Yeah. And can I be without an agenda? Can I be without any significance to anything I'm doing? Can I just do it for the sake of doing it because that's the energetic right now? This is what is in this moment. Mm-hmm. And in this moment, it all feels really good.
Yeah, it's funny, right? While you're talking, I'm thinking about this group of people I like to watch sometimes on YouTube. They just come online and start drawing stuff based on audience suggestions. And they're all really great. And I just like to see how easy it is for them to put stuff on paper. Well, not really paper, it's digital. But, they're just drawing these funny suggestions. And one of the things they say very frequently is, you know what, I don't like this. I'm just going to delete the whole thing. And they have this like, phrase that they like to say, which is delete your art, just delete your art. Like it doesn't, there's nothing to it that makes you need to keep it, and I think that's kind of like with the 2 episodes we recorded. It's like, and I've been thinking about it the last couple of days too. It's like, just delete it. Maybe we just need to delete it. Yeah. Delete our recording.
It feels great now. It feels really so refreshing and relaxing.
It's funny. Yeah. I guess that's a good teaching, if you go down some path that you think was like really good in the moment and it just turns out like, actually, I don't really like it anymore, you can just stop. You don't have to, like some people, they start going to college and they think that whatever they're going, their major and minor or whatever, like it's really inspiring in the beginning. And then like a few years in or even like a couple months in, it's like, I don't actually think I like this at all. I think Nicholas had this experience, a friend of mine from the spiritual community. He had this experience, he went to school for stuff that he thought he was good at, but it wasn't really inspiring, so he quit. His parents didn't like that. A lot of people didn't like that, but that was just the way it needed to be. Like, delete your path.
Yeah, it's just bringing up the whole like right and wrong and good and bad and judgment of the world, that we, at least I have had throughout my journey, the propensity to want to lock it down and lock in the answer. This is my answer, Bob, and I'm sticking to it. It's like, that hasn't really worked very well for me. And that the willingness to change direction, the willingness to be moved by the Spirit in a new way in every moment, that's where I want to be. Trying to fit ourselves into these 2 talks, it was feeling so cumbersome and heavy. It just was starting to feel like a real turd. And, it's like, that's just not fun. That's not fun. And I'm not on Facebook much these last couple of months or last couple of years, actually. But I went on this morning. There was somebody who I had become friends with on Facebook through the community that Jutta had been a part of. I don't know him well, but I know he's a musician, and I've seen him create some amazing music. And he was singing a song. He had posted himself singing a song. It was the guy Alan.
Oh yeah.
And he is sort of sing-songy, like, I don't really know what I'm gonna sing, but I'm just gonna let it go and let it rip, and it may be stupid. And he did this sort of sing-songy, like, I'm not perfect, but I want to face this idea that I have to be perfect. I want to face in this moment with this sharing, just letting it all hang out and exposing myself by doing something that makes me feel uncomfortable, and that kind of invitation is just so beautiful. And people always resonate with it because we often do tend to put ourselves in boxes behind the, jail bars. Yeah. Don't do it. Don't look stupid. Don't be vulnerable, and I lived that way and still can in my life in so many different ways. And it's death. It just feels like hell. So I was really inspired to see him this morning, just, being in his way of saying it. I think he said, this is me authentically in this moment, and it's like we were talking about some really helpful, to my mind, things in these last couple talks. So it's not like they weren't really helpful, but in a way it was like, we're looking at things that in a way you might say can get into the kind of teaching idea or the like spiritual aspirant kind of a thing. And they're great and helpful, and it's what my life's about. But in this other way, it's just like this is what I want for my life. It's just to be untethered in the best of ways and to not be trying to put myself in a box, just allowing the energy to tell me what's right. That's how I experience spirit or the divine. It's an energetic experience. It's how does it feel in my heart? How do I feel mentally and emotionally? Well, great. Or I feel like I'm trapped in my head trying to figure something out. And that's just kind of how it was going with this idea of this last couple talks. Like, yeah, I just want to be in the energy of my alignment. And that's what this feels like in this moment rather than, just trying to tell a story or have an agenda about something. Or there were a lot of judgments that were surfacing around these things. And that's the beauty of doing these. But again, didn't feel resonant beyond our own experience of making the recording to share it in the world. And this may not either.
Yeah, and like, we're always, you always say, like, we're always in the prayer. We'll do these recordings, and if it feels right, then they go out on YouTube. And if not, then it must just be for us, and I guess that's what it was for those two that we tried to do beforehand. And I think it's like no surprise that we're doing episode 13,
The third time.
Yeah, third's the charm, right? And unlucky number 13, but we do both
love the number 13.
I've always loved it as well. So, but I think it's almost like a little cosmic joke, like, 13's might not be the the easiest, or like it just has a deeper teaching to it just for us doing it.
Yeah, well, I think like when I think about the different meanings of 13, one of the most important ones to me is the idea of the tarot and the death card.
Right.
It's like we want to die every moment to what we've been and, what we've imagined ourselves to be, and to come at every moment fresh and blank. And, I've always loved the idea of death, and I feel like it's been a great teacher for me. It's like, it's kind of in a way, in this weird paradoxical way, it's kind of my path in this way, to just be facing and letting things die, letting them drop, letting them serve their purpose in a moment. And then it's something new and fresh that has to be met. And, so yeah, I just, it feels in this way appropriate and right, as you say, but I couldn't put that into words. It's just an energetic, and I think as we were talking, there's an old way of sharing about spiritual teachings that those last two talks kind of felt like an old way. It just felt like a different universe. Yeah. And this feels more intuitive, more natural, more just in the flow. And for me, in a way, that's kind of the 13 symbol, in this weird energetic way. It's just...
well, I guess it's like just removed from any strings and concepts and ideas that maybe we even had, in our own minds around what it's like to offer recordings on YouTube, offer some kind of helpful teachings through a YouTube video. Maybe we didn't know they were there, and now we do, and it's like, let's just do it in a different way, in a way that is fun, remembering the fun, because that's the only thing that had me even interested in doing these recordings when you suggested them, because in my mind it can be such a weird thing to, like, it can be a thing.
Yes.
Now I'm putting on my teaching hat, and I gotta be really clear and make sure it's all makes sense. And half the time I talk and I don't remember what I started the sentence with. It's like this weird thing. Yeah. So but no, I guess all hats off, and
I don't know why, but it's coming up again, and maybe it was in one of the talks we have just ditched, but maybe it was in something earlier, I don't know, but we've talked many times about like websites and resumes and stuff like that. And, it's been such a powerful experience for me to go through thinking about those things. Like every time I had to make a resume for a job, it was always like, this isn't who I am. How am I ever going to talk about this stuff? Like to call myself a buyer or a planner or a manager or any of the things that seem to have been the labels that were used for things that I did as a job. It just never made sense to me. It always felt so strange. And as you're saying, and like, we're not here as anything. I'm not here as a teacher. I'm not here as a healer. I'm not here as a spiritually, aligned or aspiring person in this way, right? I mean, we talk about those things, but really I'm just, to the best of my ability, just following my heart in every moment. And that seems to be difficult sometimes in this world. So that's part of why we've felt inspired to talk about it. It's just like, yeah, it's a little confusing here sometimes. And we've got this calling in our heart. And why would it be feeling so blocked up and obscured? Like, why wouldn't I just be letting it rip in every which way possible that feels fun and joyful? I mean, that's a deep, deep question.
Yeah. And it's funny, right? Because there is such a like desire to follow what we're feeling. And, you know, we did the recording and, you know, you put your energy into trying to make this video and like you got, you know, some way into it. But the whole way through, your comments were just like, I don't know about this. Like, or things were disappearing even, you know, from your slides. And it's like something about it's just this weird, like, I don't know, something weird. And yeah, it's because there's such a devotion to following. Sometimes when you've started on something, because you have that devotion, you feel like, oh, I just got to work through it. You know, oh, it's just some healing. You know, that's why it feels weird and yucky and confusing or whatever. Just something to forgive and let go, right? But I guess that's not always the reason for why those feelings show up, why we get confused or why, we just get emotions that we're not used to in that kind of scenario. Sometimes it is just like, no, your devotion isn't to the thing, or finishing this thing. It's like to really always just come back to what is it now, Spirit. Yeah. Which actually is a thing that we talked about. Yeah. You know, in the recordings that we're not going to share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, we're just here to follow the flow as best as we can. And sometimes it seems like it's looked like we've talked about our spiritual journeys or spiritual concepts or whatever. And I'm not diminishing any of those things as having been valuable or things that we might still talk about. But what's present here is just like, this is it, this moment. This is all that I am in this moment. This is it. This is the alignment. This is the grace flowing. And I'm just not feeling the need to source from other pieces of info or ideas or any of that. And I'm not sure what life will look like with no past and no future entirely. I'm not sure what that will look like, but it feels like that invitation is really here in my heart in this moment. You know, it just feels really alive. And so who knows what this journey with these recordings is going to be. Again, who knows if this will get posted? Who knows if there'll be any more? Maybe we're just going to come to these and start singing songs and dancing. Who knows?
Yeah.
I can feel you like,
oh, it's like, no, I'm not doing that. That's funny. Yeah. No, I do like the invitation, you know, like with the video from Al.
Yeah.
That is like I think why it resonates is because somebody's just showing up in their like raw way without control. Yeah. In a way, right? And I think everybody aspires to that. Sometimes I cringe at it because I guess I have some stuff in my mind around it. But yeah, but I have done. I've done one time in the spiritual community. We did this little like improv thing, which is like, if you know me, I am not about the improv or acting of any kind. But something about the facilitator just made it very easy and accepting to the point where I could just be there and not judge myself so hard. So yeah, it's a fun experience to just let go and be stupid or whatever. So I guess, that's what this episode is, and it's always an invitation for other people, as well. Sometimes you don't have to have a plan or know exactly what's about to happen or meant to happen.
Yeah, and it's brought up so many amazing things for us. And, just as we sat down, it was the whole like, well, are we supposed to even be doing this anymore? I mean, I keep receiving guidance to continue with this, but there aren't that many reflections back saying, yeah, this is helpful to me as some seeming other person in the world. So, it's like the world doesn't seem to need more airtime of people talking about themselves and their journey. It doesn't seem in this way. So it's a deep meditation every time. Like, is there something useful here? Because, I don't need to just fill up the airspace, in my own mind. That's in my heart, is to just share the energetics, that are here. But again, it's like that was the meditation today. Is there anything else here? Spirit, really? Like, we did a prayer before the prayer of like, please make it really obvious, because we're not sure if was a blip in our own minds, a resistance in our own minds, an attitude or opinion about it that we weren't conscious of. So, yeah, we're just here to expose it as best we can to ourselves. And then in that, maybe there will be something useful to somebody else. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, how many times, right, on the spiritual path do we feel like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, right? So here we go.
All the time.
We seem to have been making videos and we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Hello. This is us for now, and no plan. Yeah. And it's okay. Like, you might run into this yourself.
Yeah.
Many times on whatever journey you're on.
It feels so much better to me. It's like that video with this gentleman, Al. There was this freedom that was palpable in just letting it be what it was in that moment. And I often, when I think about anything in the forms and structures of the world that I might do, there is this difficulty often for me to step into them, because I know that I will be invited to expand in a new and different way. And so it's like hard to invest in anything. Your face is very funny. Yeah. It's hard to want to put my energy anywhere, because I know the fluid nature of how spirit tends to want to move through me, or how I experience it anyway. And, the minute I get into something, it starts to become a thing, as you said earlier.
Right.
And that becomes really tedious in my mind, really hard for me to get excited about it. So, yeah, maybe that's just a reminder for somebody out there, as you said, that, things change. We don't have to lock ourselves down into these structures that in one moment feel really inspiring and then the next not. And, I've had to face it over and over again. A business I started, a year or two into it, it was like, this is not alive anymore. This is not serving a greater purpose that's helpful to my mind and to my journey. And, I had to tell the people that, had been investing in it, like, this isn't going anywhere else. And there was a lot of pushback, honestly. It was a lot to work through in it, but I had to do it. We talk about that authentic journey. This is us in our messy, authentic journey today, of just saying, I have to do what's right in my heart. The logic and all that, okay, great. It's got its place. But that deep inner knowing, I'm really grateful for Jutta, because we can be in a small space together. We've been together for a little while here. And I know she's sensitive to that same call and has that same ability to read the energy with spirit, like what's helpful. We don't default into these old ways of being. To the best of our ability, we stay fresh, like, well, that doesn't feel very good. I won't participate in that with you, or whatever. There's an honesty that I feel present in how we relate in our experience that is really a godsend. It's really just... It's so delightful. There's not this burden of expectation and like, you have to do it this way or else, which I seem to have experienced in my life. And I sometimes played out myself. And it just doesn't feel good. I want everybody to have the freedom in their minds to be their own divine, sovereign self, their own bright, brilliant light, and to show up with it however they want to do it. Even, or maybe most importantly, in all the ways that I don't think are right. Like, to let go of the judgments, to let people do it the way they want to do it.
Right.
and to just be right with myself and what I'm doing, to like mind my own business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 And I guess our prayer always is like, what's going to be expansive, right? And I think, when we started doing these recordings, that definitely was like I knew I kind of wanted to do some myself, but there's always like, oh, what do I talk about? I've got nothing to talk about. Oh, okay. Well, maybe somebody else to talk with, oh yeah, that could be easier. But it was still like a very like stretching, as we know, experience that I had to step into in some way and like expand into. So, I think maybe, when we have those kind of experiences, there can come a place where it's like, oh, okay, somehow like that expansion is now at its max in this way, like in this structure or whatever. And then, okay, well, how do we go beyond that? And I think that's maybe where we were kind of like hitting up against, like, wow.
Yeah, it just wasn't feeling genuine, authentic, wasn't feeling helpful, wasn't feeling joyful. And I think you're right. I think we just hit some little barrier that you don't know is there until it shows up. It revealed itself.
Yeah, and I mean, for myself, it's always like in my mind, I think like, oh, if we have a topic, oh, that's good, at least I know what we're going to talk about and I can do an intro or whatever. And, today it's like, oh, nope.
No.
None of that.
No. Yeah. It feels good. It feels right. It feels really right. A couple of those last two talks, they've, again, lots of helpful things Spirit delivered for our own healing. But at the end of them, it was just sort of like, it just didn't quite, most of these talks when we've been done, it's been like, oh, yeah, that was great. Like we felt good about, even if it had been messy or complicated in our own minds, it felt right. And these last two just didn't, that was it. And that's enough. And it doesn't need to be explained really. I mean, we're explaining it just as useful in this moment because it's alive here. But to trust ourselves, to scrap things, to show up new and fresh in every moment, and just to see what's there, to enjoy it, to not make it significant. So that might sound all very like, oh yeah, of course, to some of you, I don't know. But those are kind of like major leaps in my mind, at times. Those are really big ways of doing things differently. That's how I want to live. I want to be guided into the unknown. Step off the cliff, Elisabeth. You don't even need the parachute, That's pretty exciting. So anyway, anything else feel juicy and alive?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, just felt fun to come without a plan and share what was actually happening for us today and the last 2 weeks, actually. Yeah. So
we'll see if this comes to life with a video or not.
Yeah. We're just here to be shown what's right and what's helpful. So thanks for coming along on the ride.
Lots of love.
Yeah. Bye.